What can change the nature of a man? This is a quote that I won't be forgetting anytime soon, and it's a question that I've recently spent the good part of 40 hours trying to answer. If you ask me, it was time well spent. After over 20 years of playing RPGs, I would like to think that I've played most of the big dogs. Even today, I find myself constantly comparing modern games to those of the past, thinking they don't make games like they used to. Planescape Torment is one such RPG that I constantly compare games to. Now, the reviews for this game have always been absolutely amazing, with many gamers claiming it to be among the best stories ever told in a video game, and it's hard to argue with that. Planescape Torment is just so unique and memorable in just about every way. I've completed both the original PC version and BeamDog and Skybounds' recent enhanced edition on consoles, which is also bundled with Icewind Dale. All the footage for this review is from the console version on the Switch. This review is going to examine the game as a whole and also compare both versions, which will hopefully give you an idea which one you should play. Play the PC version. Before we begin, if you like this video, it would help me out a lot if you hit like and subbed for more RPG content. Also, come say hi on Twitter and Facebook. Alright, let's get into it. Now, the single greatest thing about Planescape Torment is easily the storytelling. The element of mystery here is incredibly strong and drives the story better than just about any other game I've ever played. You wake up on an empty slab in the mortuary with dozens of other dead, dissected bodies nearby. Your name is... you can't remember. You're here because... Just as you realise where you are, a floating skull named Mort arrives to help you out. He claims not to know anything, but helps you read the tattoos all over your back, which provides some small indication of where to go next. Now, I know what you're thinking. Ah, great, another amnesia plot. Been there, done that. Stop right there. The main character, the Nameless One, didn't simply fall down the stairs, bump his noggin only to discover he's actually the rightful king to the throne. The insane depth of his past and the way that the narrative slowly unfolds creates a strong, constant desire to learn more about him, why he ended up in the mortuary, and why he can't be killed. You see, every time that he is killed, he loses his memory, which makes talking to NPCs that you've previously met and uncovering secrets and clues that your past incarnations have left so intriguing. The bottom line is, the Nameless One is a brilliant character who has been developed through some outstanding script writing techniques. But there are also many other characters who accompany him that also play a vital role in his tragic journey. What better example to give than Mort, the Flying Skull? Who is he? Why is he a skull? Why did he suddenly appear? Things get even more confusing when you unravel clues that tell you don't trust the skull. Don't trust Mort? Why would somebody say that? What is he hiding? Should I get rid of him now? On the other hand, his one-liners are hilarious and he has guided me this far. Trust is one of the many prominent themes in Planescape Torment, and there is always a reason to question the intentions of everybody you encounter. Are you really on your own? Are you the only person you can truly trust? It soon becomes apparent that you can't even trust yourself. The journey of the Nameless One is something that really needs to be experienced by all gamers that value top-tier storytelling.
There you will be asked to make a terrible sacrifice, my love. For the matter to be laid to rest, you must destroy that which keeps you alive and be immortal no longer.
Planescape Torment is a CRPG and one of the most novelistic games I've ever played. By this, I mean that there is a lot of reading with only 20 or so key lines that are voice acted. You don't simply walk into a bar and have an NPC explain what a fine day it is outside. With most of the NPCs, there are loads of questions to be asked, which is the essence of the game. You will have many valuable conversations with the world's inhabitants, and through these lengthy, detailed conversations, you will learn a lot about the world. The lore here is next level. To progress through the game, you will need answers, and finding the answers to these questions requires quite a lot of thought. Reading through pages of dialogue, putting together clues, and actively searching high and low through the various locations is how you'll proceed through the main story. For this reason, Planescape Torment caters to a more mature audience, or at least one willing to sacrifice action for hours of active reading trying to absorb everything that is being told. If you want an action-packed experience with explosions and teabagging, go waste your time playing Fortnite instead. I know what I'd rather be doing. Setting is so important in creating atmosphere in Planescape Torment. While the visuals haven't aged particularly well, which is mostly evident when zooming in, the world still manages to be unique and breathtaking. From the different sectors of the bustling, slummy hive to the creepy, mysterious Pillar of Skulls, every location is dark, full of character, and creates a sense of fear and curiosity. From the moment you begin, the desire to explore arises and never fades, and this atmosphere is truly highlighted by some wonderful background tracks. I wanted to know everything I could about the world, which is good because you could literally spend hours talking to NPCs, reading through all of the dialogue options just to find out that little bit more. On this note, there are loads of awesome, detailed optional quests to find through talking to these NPCs, and most of these take quite a bit of effort to complete. This outstanding setting and the NPCs that fill it is one of Planescape Torment's greatest strengths. As you would expect, the controls work a lot differently when comparing the PC version with the console versions. On PC, you've got your basic point and click system, and using a mouse with keyboard shortcuts is much more efficient than its most recent console iteration. I will however say that the transition of making a point and click CRPG playable on consoles was fairly decent. For starters, on consoles you can use drive mode, which allows you to use the analog sticks to move your characters around rather than clicking everywhere manually. All of the spells and menus have also been redesigned to suit the consoles. This works fine, but like everything else, things are always going to take a lot longer than they would with a keyboard and mouse. I'm also not sure why, but the text in the console version is incredibly small. I played the console version on a 75-inch TV and still found it an absolute necessity to jump into the settings and increase the font size to the max. But even with this, some of the passing dialogue from NPCs is not increased, making it too difficult to read. Now, Planescape Torment is based off the popular Planescape campaign setting from the tabletop game Dungeons & Dragons. D&D is something that most of us have heard of, but I'm guessing that many gamers watching this review haven't experienced this form of role-playing, nor would they know the rules. The elaborate D&D rule set is present here, which sets a massive learning curve to those new to the form, which was the case with me the first time that I played the game. I had to do quite a bit of research to learn what all of the statistics actually meant, such as armor class, which is your dodge statistic with a lower number being better, and THAC0, which is your hit accuracy, also better as a lower number. In combat, the probability of each attack hitting is based on both the roll of a dice and your many statistics, and the result of these dice rolls will be displayed on the screen. Without having much knowledge of the D&D mechanics, you will undoubtedly have no idea what anything means. Thankfully, there's Google. Personally, I had no issue with this learning curve and think it worked well in the context of the game. While the D&D mechanics themselves are fine, how they convert into the actual core combat comes with many issues. The combat itself is very simplistic. You can choose individual characters to attack certain enemies or use items or special abilities. My strategy for just about every single battle was to select all party members and target the same enemy until it died. Sometimes you'll get some good dice rolls and kill the enemies quickly, but at other times you'll keep missing and take loads of damage. There is some basic AI too, but to put it bluntly, it's horrible. I mean, most of the time when an enemy is killed, your party will just stand idle until you click on a new enemy or the character takes damage. There really should be a better working auto attack here. Apart from attacking, your mage characters are able to cast spells. There are loads of spells to learn, with more becoming available the more your mage levels up. To use spells in battle, you can pause and select a spell to hit an enemy, but many lower level spells are seemingly useless and miss most of the time. This also goes for supportive spells, most of which do very little in impacting the battle. I also found it very difficult to effectively cast area of effect spells, as they'll more than likely end up damaging your own party. The emphasis of Planescape Torment was clearly not on the battle system, and this is true for both the PC and console versions. Fortunately, there are only a few battles that are compulsory, as you can run or talk your way out of most other confrontations. A large majority of the experience you receive comes from quest completion anyway. Despite the poor battles, there's a bit that you can do in the way of customizing your party. Classes play a big role, as each playable character is either a fighter, mage, or thief. These classes play a role in how you'll distribute your skill points when leveling up the Nameless one. With that said, I found Wisdom and Intelligence to be the most useful stats regardless of class, because this is what affects most of your dialogue choices in the game. And as you've probably gathered by now, dialogue is the most important and enjoyable aspect of Planescape Torment. Characters can also equip weapons and certain pieces of equipment, and this will vary depending on the character. For instance, Mort can't equip anything other than a weapon, which is his teeth, since he's just a skull. Once I got the hang of what the stats actually do, like armor class and THAC0, I was able to start experimenting with different builds and party combinations, but I still wouldn't call this one of the stronger aspects of the game. It does its job, but nothing more. Okay, at this point we've talked a bit about the differences between the PC and console controls, but now let's get into the game changer. This is the reason that the PC version is the must-play experience. To start with, the PC version of Planescape Torment is not perfect. There were quite a few bugs related to dialogue and quest lines, but the Steam version has provided some patches, and there are also mods out there that fix a lot of these issues. The console version, on the other hand, wowee! There are more bugs here than an episode of Looney Tunes. One that personally impacted my experience was a bug that prevented an important NPC from appearing. This meant that I couldn't speak with her to retrieve a revive spell for the Nameless One. As a result, for most of the game, if a character was KO'd in battle, I would have to reload as there was no way to revive anyone. This caused a lot of unnecessary saving and loading. Then there's the shops that didn't allow me to use their functions, and the random and not so random game crashes. I've also seen many other reports about a bug that crashes the game whenever they try to sell items, or other random bugs that prevent story progression. The worst thing is that there seems to be absolutely no support for these console versions. The only statements that I could find from the publishers regarding these issues were, "Hello, we don't have anything to announce at this time," and "No patches have been announced, sorry." Gee, thanks, good to know that you released a semi-faulty product and don't give a shit. Long story short, there is absolutely no good reason to play the console versions over the PC version. There are very few games out there that create such a sense of wonder that constantly causes me to think about the themes and issues presented. I can probably count the games that have achieved this on one hand, with Xenogears and more recently 13 Sentinels being a couple of other examples. Many gamers consider Planescape Torment to be one of the best games ever made, with one of the best stories ever told, and I can see why. There is a lot to love about this game. The incredible atmospheric setting, the mysterious and deep characters, and of course the unforgettable, expertly written story. These are the reasons that Planescape Torment is so good. Unfortunately, the actual combat is the one thing holding this game back, and in the case of the console versions, the plethora of bugs and glitches, some of which are game-breaking. The PC version of Planescape Torment is hands down a must-play for any gamer who appreciates a very strong narrative and is prepared to read through mountains of text to find the answers to the many questions posed throughout the game. So, what can change the nature of a man? Go and find out for yourself. Have you played Planescape Torment before? What did you think? Is it one of the best stories ever told? Let me know in the comments below. This was Hellfire RPGs, thanks for watching. If you liked this, hit like and sub for more RPG content. Also, come say hi on the socials. See you next time.